Hello, this is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. That was Kenny Chesney with the Dave Matthews Band. That song's called I'm Alive. This is the Edge 88.1, and here for the next 2 hours from 10 to midnight, I'm going to be playing a lot of country music for you. Some soft rock, and have some entertaining stories. It's pretty much all I got for you. It's going to be really entertaining. I mean, who doesn't love country music on a Sunday night? You can sit down there and do homework. Maybe even, throw it on and doze off to sleep, whatever you got to do. But coming up next, we have Blake Selton, I'll Just Hold On, and Darius Rucker, Don't Think I Don't Think About It. This is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. That was George Strait, Troubadour, on the Edge 88.1. I've got a story here that, while it is sad for the person that it happened to, and in no way should be a funny story, I gotta admit, it kind of falls into a humorous light here. This is under the list of things you should never do, and I think it is pretty much common sense that you should not do this. This story comes out of Belgium, and basically what happened was there was a love triangle. Now, love triangles are fairly common. You see them every once in a while, two girls like the same guy. Maybe two guys like the same girl. Sometimes they go at it. They normally do not hang out together, however. Now, in Belgium, what happened was Els Van Doren, 38 years old, decided she was going to go parachuting with this guy that she was in love with. Now, what they also decided was going to happen was that another woman by the name of Els Kotzman was also going to attend this parachute thing. Now, what happened was Els Van Doren, 38, didn't check her parachute very well, and this other lady decided that she was going to cut through her parachute, and so when the lady descended, her parachute didn't open and she died. Now, like I said, very sad story. You don't want to laugh or make fun of in any way someone dying or someone being killed, but you do not go parachuting with your boyfriend's other lover. Now, it says in the article that this was a well-known thing. It wasn't like they were going parachuting and this guy told this lady that they were just friends or whatever, they were cousins. No, they both knew that they were indicted in this. I mean, they were interested in the same guy. But the trial was on Friday, and she's obviously being charged with murder, and they don't think that the guy knew anything about it or that he was in any way involved. But I just think it's gotta almost be common sense not to go parachuting with someone that is your enemy in any shape or form, let alone a scorned lover. I just thought something I would do. Apparently it's something she did, and apparently paid quite dearly for that. Next up, we have Never Ever Gone by Chris Cagle. And then I'll be back to talk at you a little later. This is The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. I was reading around the web today, and I found a story that kind of shows how deeply this recession has affected, the entire world, not just us. Yeah, it says here, this is a story out of London. It says, British children's weekly pocket money has fallen to a new 7-year low. They see this as a sign that parents are still cutting back on, quote, non-essential expenditures. And it says it has fallen from 6.2 pounds in 2009 to where now it's only at 5.89 pounds. Now, 5.89 pounds is $9.23 in U.S. dollars. And that is the lowest since 2003, when it was 5.79 pounds. Now, I don't know what they call non-essential expenditures. I think it's pretty essential to give your kids money and, let them learn how to spend it. Let them learn that if they blow their money, that they're not going to have any more. But if you don't teach your kids how to use money, they're just going to turn into people who just spend randomly. I mean, I remember growing up, we got a weekly allowance on, I don't remember exactly how it was. I know that I was never very good at saving it, and I'm still not very good at saving it. I'd go out, I'd get $10 in my hand, and it'd be spent before the end of the day. Still kind of like that, I can't lie to you. I think that it just kind of goes to show that everybody's, feeling this recession, and that it's a little bit easier to learn how to spend money if you've learned how to spend money your entire life. Now, it also says here that girls received a little bit less than boys, 5.7 pounds per month, which kind of surprises me, because maybe this is a little bit sexist here, but I always would assume that you get money for doing well in school, for not getting in trouble, and maybe I always thought that guys kind of got a little bit more mischief in school. Maybe they lose a little bit of that money for getting in trouble, but apparently that's not the way it is over in London. I don't know. Here I know that I have a younger brother, and I know that if he turned out to be a girl and I had a sister, I probably would have gotten a little bit less money because would probably made me look bad. But I think that I made out all right. Can't complain too much. But next up we have 21 Guns by Green Day. And then after that you're going to hear some She's So California by Gary Allan. This is The Edge 88.1. Thanks for tuning in. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. That was Brad Paisley's Waiting on a Woman. I'm going to go ahead and take some time here to talk about something that I don't normally like to talk about, and that is some things that have been going on campus. I don't normally like to get into it just because I don't really feel like it's my position to be telling people what to do, but in this instance, I think I speak for more than one person, me. I think I speak for a whole bunch of people, especially in the comm department. One thing that I just can't get over and cannot reconcile in my mind happening on a college campus is PDA. Now, I've been here for 4 years now, and I can't say that I've ever seen it like I've seen it this year. I can't ever remember actually seeing it, but now I'm forced to see it every day, especially in the comm building. Now, I don't know these two's name. I don't know them perfect. I've never even said hi to them, but I have to see it every day. And I'm sure they're freshmen because, first of all, I've never seen them before, and second of all, that just seems like a freshman thing to do. I mean, all the touching and, caressing and so intense, like, they probably haven't seen each other in 50 minutes. And I have to sit here and watch this when I'm trying to just walk from one class to another. And then I come out of that class, and I have to walk back and see it again. I mean, I realize you guys like each other. That's great. Hold hands. Talk to each other. But I don't need to see all that. I've actually heard people comment on it. They'll comment on it like, oh, get a room, you two, like just joking, which should be appropriate and should have gotten the message, but these two just seem oblivious to it. Like, oh, they're just kidding. That's so it's not funny, and I don't think that I keep saying this, but I don't think people should have to see that. And, sure, people are going to say, oh, you're just jealous. No, I'm really not jealous. And people who say something to you guys are not jealous. They are disgusted. I'm surprised that a professor hasn't said anything. If I was Mr. Siebert or, Kayleen Ruby, and I would say something about it. I mean, maybe they're more polite than I am, and I don't know. That's just, like I said, just keep your hands off each other. You're probably 300 yards from your dorm room. Go there and do whatever you want. Hide, go behind a tree. I don't know what. Just don't do it in the comm building. And I know some people know who this is, especially if you're in the comm department. So next time you see it happening, please say something, because if we keep saying something to them, eventually they're going to stop. And I hate singling people out like that, but it's just like, oh, it really bothers me. Next up, we have Carrie Underwood, Just a Dream. After that, we have Jason Aldean, The Truth. This is The Edge 88.1. Thanks for listening. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. It is 10:54, and that was Citizen Soldiers by Three Doors Down. I saw a movie this weekend that is definitely worth seeing. It is a Ben Affleck flick. Now, I don't know why, but whenever people talk about Ben Affleck, they think Armageddon Ben Affleck. Sappy love story. It was a good movie. I mean, I like the movie. Armageddon, but I think what people tend to forget is that Ben Affleck plays a pretty good tough guy. I mean, he was in Good Will Hunting before that, and he played a tough guy in that movie. And Matt Damon gets most of the credit for that movie, and rightly so. I mean, that was his movie and he owned it. But Ben Affleck had a good part in that. This movie, The Town, I don't want to give it away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read what they have on the website as the plot. It says, as he plans his next job, which is Ben Affleck, a longtime thief tries to balance his feelings for a bank manager connected to one of his earlier heists, as well as the FBI agent looking to bring him and his crew down. So basically, this is what he does. He's a bank robber. He's from Boston. There's quite a bit of Boston references in there. Go to Fenway for a little bit in the movie. Let's see. Rebecca Hall plays his love interest. John Hamm plays the FBI agent. What I was thinking is this movie, The Town, is kind of like a hybrid of Good Will Hunting and Armageddon. He plays a tough guy, but there's also a love story involved. And it's not overwhelming, the love story part of it, which I was kind of worried about when I was going in to watch. I don't have anything against chick flicks, but they're not my favorite. And it's not the first. I was a little worried about it. I was a little worried they're going to get too carried away with it, but they didn't. The ending is a little different. It doesn't. What I thought was going to happen didn't happen, and I always like movies like that. It's got a lot of action in it. It's got some true facts in it. He wrote it and helped write it and directed it. So I mean, it's a good little flick, and it's probably the best one I've seen for a while. So definitely worth seeing. Next up, we have The Shape I'm In by Joe Nichols. This is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. Thanks for tuning in. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Long Line of Losers by Montgomery Gentry. This next story that I got for you is, it holds a special place in my heart. I don't know if you guys have ever watched The Colbert Report on Comedy Central, but this has been one of my favorite shows for at least 5 years now. 4 or 5 years. I'm not exactly sure when it started, but I've been watching it for as long as I can remember. And I just like the way he does comedy relating to, political views. And, he's very sarcastic, which I've been known to be. He follows Jon Stewart, who is also very funny. Probably one of the smartest people in TV, man or woman. That's what they say anyway. He went and testified before Capitol Hill. Now, for those of you who somehow don't know what that means, basically whenever they invite someone to testify before Congress, it's because they know something that can contribute to what they're trying to decide on. Now, Colbert did not take this seriously, just like I wanted. I mean, he stayed in character the entire time. The meeting was on illegal immigrant farm workers, and he started out with his solution to the illegal immigrant problem as being, and I quote, "The obvious answer is for all of us to just stop eating fruits and vegetables." And he followed it up with, "And if you look at recent obesity statistics, you'll see that many Americans have already started." So, he's making jokes. He's basically what he's trying to show here, I believe, is that it doesn't really matter what is said in these things because nothing's going to get done. They can sit there and talk all they want, and they do a lot of talking. But a lot of people don't believe they do as much as they could, and he even said basically as much in there. He said, maybe by me being on here, it'll bump this hearing up to C-SPAN 1, basically saying that they get no coverage because they get nothing done. Now, the congressmen and women on here were not, for the most part, were not impressed. The representative from Michigan, he's a Democrat, John Conyers, asked him to leave before he even spoke. The representative from Iowa wasn't much better either. He basically told him to submit his stuff in writing and get out. He was invited to speak by the chairwoman, and so he ended up being able to stay and listen to the rest of the proceedings. But it's very funny. If you want to check it out online, just type in Stephen Colbert, and that's the first thing that pops up in Google. They have it on YouTube. They have it other places. So I think it's worth watching. It's humorous, and it's only about 4 or 5 minutes long. Next up, we have Another Try by Josh Turner, and then From a Table Away, Sunny Sweeney. This is The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. I got to thinking the other day, and when that happens, sometimes I have great ideas, sometimes I have horrible ideas, and I'm not quite sure which one this is yet. I can't even really tell you where this idea came from. I mean, I've heard of people doing it before, but not for the reason that I'm thinking about doing it. I think most people have seen this, where people will, they'll have a little card that they're walking around with that says, I am being silent for a week or for a day for X cause. Now, I personally have never, understood what being silent for a day does, other than, drawing attention to it, making people think about it. But I got to thinking, I kind of want to just try to do that. I mean, I want to try to set a date and say, I am not going to talk until this date. Now, obviously, I'm on the radio every week from 10 to midnight every Sunday. So I'm going to have to start it after my show, either this week or next week, and then go until the start of my show 7 days later. Now, a lot of people are probably going, why? What do you think you're going to get from this? And truthfully, I don't know. Maybe I'll get nothing from it. Maybe it'll be something that at the end of it, I'll be like, why'd you do that? That was dumb. But I'm also thinking maybe I'll hear more things. Maybe I'll learn how to listen a little better. Because I do have a tendency to kind of, not necessarily ignore people, but tune people out. And maybe if I can't respond or talk to them at all, maybe I'll listen to it a little better. Maybe I'll start catching on to things that maybe I didn't catch on to before. So I think I'm going to try it. I'm either going to do it this week or next week. And either way, you guys are going to be the first to hear me talking over a week, so that's pretty special. I mean, if I were you guys, I'd want to hear that, So I will be on next week. I'm going to do it. I just decided right now that starting at midnight tonight, I'm not going to talk until 10 next Sunday. You guys will be the first to hear me talk in over a week, and I'm sure I'll have great stories of people just looking at me like I'm weird. I'm going to have to print up some kind of card. Maybe I'll carry around a dry erase board. Hopefully my professors will understand and not pick on me, because I'm pretty talkative in class. I normally like to keep the ball rolling as far as answers go and get us out of there. So I'm going to have to really be disciplined, stick to it, and see what happens. Could be a wild ride. Who knows? Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I'll wake up and start talking. Hopefully not, though. Next up, we have As She's Walking Away by Zac Brown Band featuring Alan Jackson. It is 11:20. You are listening to The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. It is 11:31. It's a very beautiful night out tonight. The weather's looking good. I think the rain's going to hang off, which is always a good thing, especially when you have as much rain as we have been having. I like rain when I'm on the inside, but not so much when I'm outside in it. I like sitting in the house, rainy day, that's fine. Take a little nap, a little rainy day nap. I think everybody loves that. I don't know why, it just seems easier to fall asleep in the rain. Always has been for me. I also like thunderstorms, lightning. Most people, some people may say they're scared by it. I say if you get hit by lightning, that is a horrible situation. But it's kind of like winning the lottery. I know someone who lives right next door to someone who got hit, and she made it through just fine. I mean, she has some weird sensation deals. But she didn't die, and she is, one in however many that get struck by lightning every year. But I kind of just like to watch it from afar. But anyway, it is time for me to play the next song, which is Toby Keith, American Ride. After that, we'll have James Otto, Soldiers and Jesus. This is The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. That was James Otto with Soldiers and Jesus. Before that, we had Toby Keith, American Ride. I love that song, Soldiers and Jesus. It's got to be one of my favorite songs that's playing on the radio right now. But anyway, I had something happen this weekend that kind of, caught my attention, and I was riding in my truck on East 14th down there by Walgreens, and I saw this little kid. He couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. He was walking in the street, and it was Saturday night, so it was cold. It was probably 52 degrees. It was raining, and he was walking by himself. He didn't have any shoes on. He didn't have a shirt on. He didn't really look like he knew where he was going. I mean, he was waiting at that light up there that he was pressing the button trying to get across. But I just thought, probably should give a call to 911 and let them know what's going on. So, I did, and I told them where he was at, and they asked me if I could stay there and help point him out to the cops. But I said, I was already in the interstate, and they told me I didn't need to turn back. So I gave a description of what the kid looked like, and went back home and told some of my friends about it, and they were like, why did you call 911 for that? 911's for emergencies. And I kind of think that people think, differently about 911. No, you should not be calling it because you lost your cat. No, you shouldn't be calling it because you sprained your ankle or, you got a little paper cut. But I think people are kind of hypersensitive and almost afraid to call when they see someone in trouble. Like, obviously this 4 or 5 year old little kid is not supposed to be out walking around the streets of Des Moines by himself. He's obviously not supposed to be out there, certainly without shoes on in the rain, certainly without a shirt on. I mean, that is an obvious instance where I would call 911, and just maybe the cops, they come by, they take him back home, and it's no big deal. I feel like some people think that they call that number, it comes up in red, and they get all scared, like they're going to get in trouble. But if you see somebody who genuinely needs help, even if it's not yourself, you can call that number. I mean, they're there to help us. They're there to help other people, and they're not going to know about it if you don't call and tell them. So it's just something interesting that I thought I'd bring up. Keep your eyes open for stuff like that, because that kid could have gotten hurt, and hopefully that helped them get home. Anyway, next up we have Love Remembers by Craig Morgan, and then Sweet Thing by Keith Urban. This is The Edge 88.1. That was Love Remembers by Craig Morgan. My name is Casey Weaver on The Edge 88.1, and I am signing off for the night. I'm going to go home and get some sleep. So we'll keep playing some hits for you. Keep tuned here, but that is all she wrote for me. So I will see you guys back here 10 o'clock Sunday, where I'm sure I'll have some more stuff to talk to you guys about. But again, thanks for tuning in, and make sure you listen. We got good people on here every night. So this is The Edge 88.1. That was Hank Williams Jr. with Red, White, and Pink Slip Blues. That is a song talking about economic hard times that, most people are facing these days. This next story that I have for you is about a man who has quite the opposite of a problem. He is from Missouri. His name is Ernest Pullen. And early September, he won $1 million in the lottery. Now, that's not that uncommon. You hear that happen quite often. They say that the odds of him doing it were 1 in 1.36 million. That is when he did it the first time. Now, this was early September. He says he doesn't remember when exactly the ticket was, but he does know that he bought his second ticket for that month on September 17th when he won again. And he won another $1 million, making the total that he won a little over $2 million. Now, this guy has got to be one of the luckiest guys on the planet. I mean, not only does he cash one lottery ticket in for the win, but less than 3 weeks later goes ahead and does it again. I mean, And they said here that he wasn't able to be reached for comment, didn't really want to talk about it, but the store clerk that sold it to him, her name was Misty E. And she said he wasn't really that excited when he won it the second time, almost like he kind of expected to win it. And he said he's an older guy, and the lottery did say that he opted to take a $1.3 million settlement so that he wouldn't have to wait for the payments to come in and everything like that. So, I mean, $1.3 million, not too bad. Definitely something that I think anybody would take. And I don't know. They don't have the actual odds of doing this, but like I said, the odds of winning it once are 1.36 million. I mean, the odds are astronomical against this guy. So, you know, good for him. I'm glad for him. Next up, we have Blake Shelton. She Wouldn't Be Gone. And then after that, we're going to play a little Alan Jackson for you. So, stay tuned. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Alan Jackson's Country Boy. Love that song. Great song. Anyway, I saw a good movie this weekend. It's called The Social Network. For those of you who live in a cave and haven't seen the previews for that, it's about the start of Facebook. I don't even have anything for someone who doesn't know what Facebook is, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Mark Zuckerberg is the owner and operator of Facebook. He's the guy who wrote the code for it originally, came up with the idea. Some would say, he would definitely say that. I mean, he's got some pretty substantial interest to say that. It said in the movie that Facebook's estimated net value is $25 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, like boy. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of money, and obviously, you know, this is a once-in-a-generation idea, but the movie is pretty good. I mean, the cast in it, doesn't have a bunch of huge names in it. Jesse Eisenberg plays Mark Zuckerberg, and actually looks kind of like him, too. I mean, Google both their names. They kind of look alike. Justin Timberlake's in it, does a good job, kind of plays the bad guy, quote-unquote bad guy. Rooney Mara is in it. She plays Erica Albright, his love interest, which is part of it that I read that's not true. Like, most of it is true. They actually did not talk to him about it. What they did was they took most of it from this book called Accidental Billionaires. And it tells you all that in the previews before you even go and see it. It kind of shows that, you know, Mark Zuckerberg is kind of like not a very nice guy. Like, he's genius smart. He got a 1600 on his ACT scores, which is a perfect. I mean, it means that he didn't miss a question. So obviously pretty brilliant there. It's definitely worth seeing. I'd go see it. Right now, it has 8.6 out of 10 stars, if that means anything to you. Like I said, good movie, definitely worth seeing. This is The Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. I was reading, like I always do, I read different news sites, and this one's from yahoonews.com. Boston firefighters just found out on Wednesday that they received a donation of small oxygen masks designed for pets, which will become standard equipment on every fire truck in the city. So basically, you guys can picture this in your head. These firemen who their job is to save lives are now going to be running around with tiny little oxygen masks chasing poodles around burning buildings. Now, I just don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I kind of feel like if the pet is in there and the pet's the only person in there and it's not at all dangerous for the firemen to go in there somehow, I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, it is a fire. Then maybe go in there for the pet with the pet mask. I mean, I don't know. I've never been a huge animal person. We've had cats and dogs at my house growing up, but it's just not going to be my first instinct to run into a burning building to save my poodle. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want a fireman to do that. I realize it's their job to remove things from fires, but their real job is to remove people from fires. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I guess if it's not going to interfere in their job in any way, but I can just see a fireman trying chase a dog around a burning house. I don't know. And some people are going to go, oh, obviously people love their pets, and I understand that. And like it says here, smoke doesn't discriminate, the fire chief said. But at the same time, maybe we should discriminate when it comes to putting people in danger just to save, a German Shepherd or a fish or a snake or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I realize they were donated and they didn't actually spend any taxpayer money on it, so that's not a huge deal. It's just the idea of a fireman risking his life to save an animal that I just can't jump on board with that. But next up we have She's So California by Gary Allan, and then Cowgirls Don't Cry. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. Now, I could have gone my entire life without mentioning Justin Bieber's name, ever, let alone during my country radio show, but he went ahead and said something and really kind of something that I don't understand. He said, I feel like the Kurt Cobain of my generation, but people just don't understand me. Now, there are several things wrong with this statement. First of all, I was really looking forward to seeing Justin Bieber fade into nothingness every 5 or 6 years. He'll show up in the news, or maybe every 10 years he'll do a reality show, and we'll get to go, oh yeah, he was that guy. So, Nirvana, obviously, Kurt Cobain's band, one of the most influential rock bands of the 90s, had, by most counts, the number one song of the 90s was Smells Like Teen Spirit. He's putting himself on the level of Kurt Cobain with what he said. I feel like the Kurt Cobain of my generation. Now, first of all, I don't know what he means. Does he mean he's like the Kurt Cobain to, 12 to 13-year-old girls? Because that could be true. I don't know. Maybe that is true. But putting himself on the level of Kurt Cobain, and then most of you know as well that Kurt Cobain committed suicide, and that is why he is not here with us today. Now, most people are saying that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, blah, 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 he's predicting his own death, blah, blah, blah. I think the kid is just an idiot, and I don't think he really knew what he was saying, because then he said, but people just don't... the whole statement doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but coming from him, it makes even less sense, if that's possible. I just think he needs to take a step back, maybe look at what he's really done, maybe kind of just ease off it a little bit. Maybe he'll turn into Justin Timberlake and be relevant, or maybe he'll turn into the Backstreet Boys and be 40 years old and still dancing and prancing around on the stage like an idiot for 12 to 13-year-old girls. I guess time will tell. Next up, we have Love Remembers by Craig Morgan, and after that, Just a Dream by Carrie Underwood. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Jason Aldean's Crazy Town. This is an interesting story. We've all seen Ripley's Believe It or Not. Pretty self-explanatory book. It has, amazing things that people do, amazing types of people, different types of people. They just had a contest. Had over 5,000 internet subscribers to their website vote, and they came up with the number one Ripley's act of all time. Grabbing 35% of the vote was Half Man Johnny Eck. Now, I've seen this guy before just because I have some of the books and I've done a little research on him, but he's actually, I would tend to agree with who they picked. Half man, he's pretty self-explanatory. He's half there. His legs are not there, and he does gymnastics and stuff like that. And it was the first half of the century, so people probably would not have seen him. Maybe you have a grandpa or grandma that's really old, and they've seen him. I don't know what you have going on. I don't think I do. In second place was Lizard Man Eric Sprack. And most people have seen this guy. He's the guy with all the body mods. He sliced his tongue in half to make it like a lizard. Tattoos, piercings. Look him up if you want to see him. You can look all these guys up. The one that I had never seen before and was kind of taken aback by got 25% of the vote, so he wasn't that far behind. And he is a 22-inch tall teenager. And I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the guy's name. I'm sure if you type in 22-inch tall teenager, Yankee. He'll pop up, and he's a guy that as soon as he turns 18, he's not 18 yet, but he'll be declared the smallest person of all time because he stands only 22 inches tall. Now, I'm not huge into math. Not too great at it, never been really talented, but I'm pretty sure that is less than 2 feet tall. And he just looks like a normal guy. He's not, I don't know, it's kind of little weird, not gonna lie. But I suppose that's definitely what makes him in the book. And there are other guys, Mel the Blockhead Burkhart got 12% of the votes. They have a whole story on the lizard guy, who's kind of funny. They have good pictures of him up. But yeah, just type that into Google. You'll be able to see all those guys. Next up, I have Montgomery Gentry, Long Line of Losers. This is The Edge, 88.1. That was Joe Nichols, and For the Shape I'm In. That's a great song. I saw him a little while back at, I think it was the KJJY Event Center, and he put on a pretty good show. When I saw him, that song hadn't been released yet, and I'm pretty sure that he did not play it. I don't remember him playing it anyway. His other singles include Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off, Broken Heartsville, and Gimme That Girl. All very good songs. He played Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off last. That was his coup de grace, if you will. Like I said, he's a good artist. Jason Brown, of course, opened for him, who, I could really care less to ever see him, but it seems like he's always at the shows around here, especially the country shows. I remember one time he played at the grand opening of a Homemakers. Now, I'm all for people being, all gung-ho about it and play the shows you can give back to my community, that type of thing. But that guy just gets on my nerves. I don't like his music. I don't like the way he sings the songs he sings. I think it's kind of bad because I think some of the songs that he does, I think if somebody else did them, I might like them. But the moment that I hear one of his songs, I see him. Physically see the man in my brain, and it kind of, I don't know what it is. It's just, I guess I'm not the only one. This is also the way my friends feel, the people that I hang out with feel. A couple of my relatives actually know the guy. They played music with him, so maybe that's where it comes from. And a lot of people are like, oh, Jason Brown's coming. I'm just like, man, not for me at all. But who am I to hate on the guy? He's doing what he loves to do, eyeliner and all, so good for him. Next up, we have John Mayer, Free Fallin', and then we'll do a little Josh Turner, Another Try. That was Chris Young with Voices. My name is Casey Weaver. This is The Edge 88.1, and let's see here. I was thinking the other day about how the weather's kind of changing. It's getting nice out. I mean, I'm one of those guys that kind of I like fall. I like fall a lot better than I like summer. It's not that I dislike summer. I don't necessarily care for school, so not being in school is definitely a perk, and I think it's probably why a lot of people say they like summer. But I mean, I can also see why people don't like snow. But I'm pretty excited because I hear there's going to be record snowfall, and I am 100% for record snowfall. I like it. I like sliding around my truck. I like watching people who can't drive try and drive in snow. Classic. I love people who have never driven in snow, and then you're like, yeah, it's gonna be tough, and they're like, no, it shouldn't be any big deal. I should be able to do it. I've driven in rain. Like that makes any difference. Someone actually told me that one time. Oh, I should be able to drive fine in snow. I've driven in rain. No, I want to be there for the first time you drive. Actually, I do not want to be there. I'd like to watch from afar. But next up we have Toby Keith, American Ride. And then after that, Trent Tomlinson, Angels Like Her. Casey here on The Edge 88.1. For the next 2 hours, you're going to be listening to country music, a little bit of soft rock. I definitely will not be playing any songs like the last one, so you can rest assured with that. Next up, we have Cowgirls Don't Cry by Brooks and Dunn, and then after that, She Wouldn't Be Gone by Blake Shelton. This is The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. That was Brad Paisley's Anything Like Me. It's the first time I've heard that song in a while. It's a great song. It kind of got me thinking, a little bit about this weekend. This was a long weekend for me. I don't know about all of you guys, but I had a wedding on Saturday, so pretty much my entire day was spent with that, which, that's all good and fun. Got to wear the tuxedo. It was white and blue. Maybe questionable colors there, but it was still a good time. I think everybody had a good time. I was an usher, so I had to light the candles. Kind of nerve-wracking because everybody's watching you. You don't know if your candle's going to get blown out, or you're going to be, not stepping correctly, or, then you got to seat people, and, people generally have their, where they want to sit, by whom they want to sit, and, so that can be a little frustrating, but it went off without a hitch. I think people were pretty happy. We got people in and out of there. And it was a great ceremony. And then I didn't get to watch the Iowa game because it was during that, and Iowa game was a little rough. I got to see the highlights, so that was a little rough. That made it just a little bit longer. And then watching Brock Lesnar get torn up like that, it just kind of was a long weekend. And then to top it all off, the Blackhawks lost. So I don't know. Kind of glad this weekend's over. It was a fun one, but kind of a rough one for sports, and I'm kind of looking to get back towards the week, getting a little bit of a routine, try and get some work done this week. So next up, we have Someone Else Calling You Baby by Luke Bryan. And coming up here pretty soon, I'm going to be giving a prize away to the first caller. So this is Casey Weaver at The Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. That was Brad Paisley's Waiting on a Woman. My name is Casey Weaver, and this is The Edge 88.1. Now, we've all had those moments where, you do something on an impulse and then you immediately regret what you've just done. Some more serious than others, but I was reading this story on Yahoo.com about a guy who I don't personally know the guy, but I have to think that this was one of those moments. This story is coming out of Beijing, China, and it was a guy who was in a public bathroom and was talking on his cell phone and dropped his cell phone into the toilet. Now, this is not something that I personally have ever done, but I've known a couple people who have done it on accident. It can happen. That is not a big thing, that whoops. But what he did next was he decided he was going to go in after it. Now, he stuck his arm so far down into the toilet that he actually managed to get his arm stuck. Now, it was so lodged in there that rescue workers had to come and break the porcelain toilet with hammers and I think it says hammers and like some type of cutting device to get this toilet off of his arm, and so that he could leave. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think this is one that you just let go. Like, my cell phone goes in a toilet and it's down that far. Even if it isn't, I'm probably just going to file an insurance claim, buy a new phone, whatever. But this has got to be one where, he got his hand down there, and I can just imagine what he's thinking. Now what's this going to look like? So yeah, it doesn't say any like how old he was or anything like that. He didn't receive any serious injuries, just a few scrapes and bruises, and I assume some wounded pride there. Next up, we have Carrie Underwood's Just a Dream, and then Kenny Chesney and Dave Matthews' I'm Alive. This is Casey Weaver in The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1. That was Darius Rucker. Don't think I don't think about it. I loved him in Hootie and the Blowfish, but I gotta admit, could just be because I'm partial to country music, but I really like the switch he made. So I brought you some, kind of an idiotic thing that somebody did overseas, and I'm all about being fair here, so I gotta bring one a little closer to home. Cleveland, Tennessee. The title is Couple Sues After Megadeth Sauce, in quotes, Hospitalizes Son. Basically what happened here is these two parents were at a steak and shake restaurant in Cleveland, Tennessee. Now, we all know that some restaurants have sauces that are hotter than others. You're going to get your mild sauces, you're going to get your hot sauces, and then occasionally you're going to get a sauce that is really, really hot. Now, the Megadeth sauce warns that it is, quote, 500 times hotter than a jalapeno, which would tell me automatically to stay away from it. I mean, when I go to Buffalo Wild Wings, I stay on the lower third of the menu, which basically means I do a lot of honey barbecue and occasionally a mild. And with that, I do have celery and ranch dressing handy. But this person does not say how old the son was, but I'm assuming it wasn't, an 18-year-old. I'm thinking it was probably 8 to 10. Gave him the Megadeth sauce. He ate it, broke out into hives, and had to go to the hospital. Now, that is, obviously if you have kids, that could be a scary thing. But at the same time, if you think there's a chance that's going to happen, don't give it to the kid. I mean, these parents are not mind readers, and they can't read the future, but it does warn you on the bottle it's too hot, stay away from it. Obviously, this kid has not been chugging hot stuff his entire life, or else he would not have broken out in hives. Now, he was alright. He just went to the hospital, basically, as a precautionary measure, but now they're suing Steak and Shake for a total of $60,000. I can't help but wonder what's going on. I mean, it's cause and effect here. You give your child something really hot, it hurts, he has to go to the hospital. Don't give him something hot, and none of that stuff's going to happen. Maybe I'm a little cynical here. Maybe it's kind of like the guy who got all that money, or the girl who got all that money for getting burned by hot coffee. I mean, really? It's coffee. Give me a break here. Alright, next up we got George Strait, The Breath You Take, and then I'm going to throw in a little Green Day also. And around 11 o'clock, I'm going to give away that prize. And it is exciting. It's definitely worth sticking around for. This is Casey Weaver on the Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. And as previously promised, I have a prize to give away. The prize is 2 free games of bowling per person for 2 people. So a total of 4 games of bowling at Air Lanes. Now, in order to win this prize, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is give me a call at 263-2985. I will take down your address, your phone number, and some information, and I'll go ahead and send those out to you. So, again, that is 263-2985, and it is a total of 4 games of bowling. This is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. Thank you. That was Chris Young, Voices. That is one of my absolute favorite songs right now. Chris Young has been big ever since I think his first big hit was Can't Wait to Get You Home or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was a great song too, but I tell you what, that's my favorite song that he has done to date. Now, I have another interesting story for you, and kind of a cautionary tale to make sure, I'm getting kind of that age where I have friends that I haven't talked to for a while. I mean, you get those high school friends that, for one reason or another, they're just not in your life anymore. You may not be 100% sure what they're doing. A man from Early, Texas, and yes, that is the name, E-A-R-L-Y, Early, Texas, was arrested this Saturday for possession of marijuana. Now, that's not newsworthy. People get arrested for that all the time. But what was newsworthy is the fact that, why he got arrested. What happened was he sent a text message to an old friend. Now, this old friend was a female, Amanda Williams. And basically what it said was, do you want to smoke weed? Asking her, do you still smoke weed? Do you know where I can get some weed? This, that, and the other thing. Well, it turns out Amanda Williams had changed her life and was a little bit different than she was when the guy knew him. And now she was a police officer with the Early Police Department. So from these text messages, she was able to set up a sting and actually was able to arrest this guy. Now, I guess the point of this is, number one, I think, is don't smoke weed. That's pretty obvious. But number two is kind of know who you're dealing with and know what, people change. And I think that it's kind of easy to look at someone that you used to know in high school and think maybe they're the same. Maybe they still like the same thing, but that is obviously, and this is a good example, not always the case. you know, I have friends still from high school, and I have friends that I don't really talk to from high school, so I kind of have them, you know, both ways. But next up, we have Alan Jackson and a little bit of Joe Nichols, The Shape I'm In. This is Casey Weaver with the Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Jack Johnson with Hope, another one of my favorite artists. Would love to see him live, and I definitely plan on doing that if I get the chance. Okay, now there's times when I read stories on the internet or I'm watching the news, and I just kind of wonder what's going on. Like, are the end of days near? Because they very well could be, because people are just going nuts. And I realize it's probably just perspective thing. Maybe I'm paying more attention than I have in the past, or, you know, maybe, I'm sure these things have happened before, but this is a really weird one, and really tough to explain by any measure. So, this is from Costa Mesa, California. And before I read this story, I kind of wanted to go to California sometime, but I'm not 100% sure that I still do. Basically, what happened was a 57-year-old former real estate agent from Corona del Mar, which is, I guess it's an upscale community. I mean, it's a pretty nice car, befriended a homeless lady. Now, that's fine. That's not weird. I guess it's a little weird, but it's not that weird. And her story is that she told her she could sleep in her car overnight. Now, the story continues on that when she went out in the morning, she found this homeless lady had passed away in her passenger seat. Now, I guess this could happen. You know, you try and do something nice for someone to get them out of the cold, even though it's California, it's probably not all that cold, by letting them sleep in their car, and, you know, unfortunately they pass away overnight. I suppose all of this is not that crazy, but what happens next is where it just gets sent over the edge. Instead of calling the authorities to come in and, you know, give this lady a proper burial and move on with her life and do whatever she needs to do, she decided to cover up the body with a blanket, and for the last 10 months has been driving around with this lady in her passenger seat. Now, personally would not have believed this story had I not read it for myself and had it not been on AP. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I guess it said there's evidence that she sprinkled, you know, baking soda to kind of kill the smell, had a whole bunch of air fresheners, her car was looking fresh, except for the fact that there was this lady who had passed away in her front seat, and nobody seemed to notice this. I mean, I guess if she didn't have that many friends, you know, people weren't riding in her car, it'd be hard to notice. But what is going on? How do you ride around with a person who has died in your front seat for 10 months? No charges have been filed. They don't really know what they can charge her with, so I highly doubt she will be charged. But I do think she needs to be put away somewhere, because that is unbelievable. Next up, we have Carrie Underwood, and then after that, some Craig Morgan. This is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Sunny Sweeties from A Table Away, and I love that song. I just recently heard it, but I think that, you know, it's going to catch on. Anyway, you know, Americans get a lot of grief from other countries about, you know, our food's too big, the portions are too big, you know, the double down chicken sandwich, whatever. Our small is the size of their large. But, you know, Mexico is making a comeback, alright? Because recently in Mexico City, they made a 230-foot long, 1.5-ton enchilada. Now, I don't know who's planning on eating it, but if they would have told me, I would have went there because it looks delicious. Actually, that's not true. It doesn't look that good, but it just proves that, you know, other countries can make big food. Now, they set a Guinness Book of World Records here, which I think is obvious. I don't think I really need to say that. I mean, 230 feet long is pretty safe. I think that probably beat the record by a lot. It was made of corn tortillas, white onions, serrano chilies, green tomatoes, avocado, which I extremely dislike, cheese, cream, and salsas. And there's a picture on yahoo.com if you want to look it up. I'm more of a fajita guy myself, you know. go to Monterey, order a chicken fajita. That's what I'm all about. But, you know, to each their own. Mexico City has been going crazy lately trying to break world records. They recently tried to break the most people dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller video and most people kissing simultaneously. But they finally succeeded with this one, and kudos to them, because that enchilada is disgustingly huge. Next up, we have a little bit of John Mayer, and then some Lady A. This is Casey Weaver here on the Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Daughtry with Feels Like Tonight. So I was reading through this story on Yahoo, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know what the odds of this are, but they can't be too high. This couple in Michigan, their names are Chad and Barbie Soper. Yes, her actual name is Barbie. They have 3 kids. Now, I think the average is like 2.3 kids in America, so obviously the fact that they have 3 kids is not that big a deal. But the dates in which the kids were born are, you see, they had a kid on 8/8 of 08, they had a kid on 9/9 of 09, and then just this past, it was 2 Sundays ago, they had a kid also on 10/10 of 10. Now, my cousin got married on 10/10/10 just for that reason, because it's a cool date. Now, the fact that these parents have 3 children all born on these type of dates is, I think it's kind of, you know, it can't be that common. And only one of them was born exactly on the due date. The other 2, one was born early and one was born a day late. And they tell everybody that they didn't do it on purpose for the one that was born early. And the doctor backs him up on that, saying that it was for medical reasons, that they had to deliver the baby 2 weeks early. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. And, you know, the obvious question is, do they plan on having another child, and maybe shoot for 11/11/11? And they say definitely not, that they wanted 3 kids to start out with, and that the whole birth date thing is just a coincidence. And I like to take them at their word. I don't think that there'd be any good way to plan something like that, or I don't even know why you would plan something like that. Just kind of a neat story that I found when I was looking through different news stories at yahoo.com. Next up, we have Leanne Womack's Last Call, and then This Ain't No Love Song by Trace Adkins. This is Casey Weaver on the Edge 88.1. This is Casey on the Edge 88.1. And that is, as they say, all she wrote for me. I am done for tonight. I will be back here next week, same time, same place. 88.1 from 10 to midnight. Playing country music just like tonight. Telling some funny stories just like tonight. So if you liked what you heard and you want the chance of possibly winning another fantastic prize, if I do say so myself, then tune in. And like I said, same stuff next week. Thanks for tuning in this week, and I am out. Next up, we have Whitney Duncan, followed by a little bit of 3 Doors Down. That was Country Boy by Aaron Lewis. He's got a great voice no matter what he's singing. So, country, rock and roll, whatever it is, I'm good with that. You know, the next story I got is just a classic overreaction. I've been in disagreements with people about this. Never to this level. Never to this level. So basically, this happened 2 days ago in Tennessee. 2 roommates ages 32 and 31. I don't know what the arrangement here is. I assume they're just roommates. One guy gets mad enough, stabs at this dude in the stomach 3 times with a steak knife, because he failed to clean up a bag of chips. Now, I'm just saying, there are worse things. There are worse things in life. All right, you know. Maybe punch the guy in the face. I don't know, but don't stab a dude in the stomach here. This is unbelievable. And want to know what is even more unbelievable? He was charged with aggravated assault. To me, that sounds like maybe an attempted murder situation or something like that. Stabbing somebody in the stomach 3 times. He was going for the kill shot. Just you gotta sit around and think sometimes before you do stuff. Like, I guarantee right after, it sounds bad, but I guarantee right after that 3rd stab, this guy was like, maybe I could have just picked up the chips. but it didn't happen that way. Next up, we have my favorite song on country music radio right now, and it has been solid this way for me for about a month now. It's the band Perry You Lie. This is The Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on The Edge 88.1, and that last one was Blake Shelton. Who are you when I'm not looking? Interesting question there. It's all about character. Anyway, this next one infuriates me a little bit. Gets me a little bit uppity. This man was flying 7 hours. It's a long flight for anybody. Nobody wants to fly that long. You know, it's uncomfortable. The seats on airplanes aren't that great. For those of you that haven't flown that much, take my word for it. Every time that I've flown, I've just felt uncomfortable. This takes it to a whole new level. This guy says that on a Blue Star airline, he was forced to stand for 7 hours because the man sitting next to him was so fat that he couldn't fit in the seat comfortably, to such an extent that he actually physically had to stand for the entire flight. Now, this is just unbelievable. There's so many different things wrong with this. I mean, so I'm a guy I'm a business guy or whatever, and I've paid good money for this flight. I paid the same amount as this gentleman, who probably should have paid more in the first place. I mean, I'm thinking maybe he pays for 2 seats and it's all good. Apparently, the representative said it just didn't happen. It's one of those things where it's like, so what? Sorry, good luck. Have fun standing. Shouldn't they have made the fat dude stand up? I mean, I'm not sitting here. I'm not a skinny man by any means, but I am not so big that I'm going to be taking up some of those seats in an airplane. I can ride a roller coaster. Okay, I have very, very little sympathy for these people. And it's like, if he would have stood, maybe he could have burned some calories. I'm thinking maybe 400 or 500 calories just by standing up. Just doesn't make any sense. Make the fat guy stand up, make him lose a little bit of weight. Or make him book this is a clearly an airline issue. And apparently this guy took it very well by standing up, because I don't know what I would have done. I certainly cannot see myself standing up for 7 hours. I don't think it would have gone so smoothly. I think I might have had, as I like to call it, a classic overreaction. But anyway, next up, we got a little bit of Brad Paisley. After that, we're going to do some Carrie Underwood. Stay tuned to The Edge 88.1. That was Carrie Underwood's Just a Dream. My name is Casey, and this is The Edge 88.1. You know, every once in a while, I say this almost every show, every once in a while, you get a story that you're reading around online or on the newspaper, magazine, I don't know what you read, but whatever you read to get your stories, there's a headline that just sells itself. I'm not going to ad-lib this, I'm going to read it word for word. Arizona Gun Club invites family to pose with Santa and a machine gun. Okay, now the first part of it, legitimate. Kids like posing with Santa. Me personally, seems like most of the pictures I was bawling my eyes out. I did not seem to enjoy it too much. I don't know, but most kids like it. You know, they get up there and they tell them what they want. And the worst part about this is when you look down from the headline and at the picture, because I don't know why, but actually I do know why. Because as little as this makes sense, this to me makes more sense. I, for some reason, thought that Santa would be holding the gun, the machine gun, you know, the automatic weapon meant to kill people with. But no, turns out it's actually the kid that gets to hold the machine gun. Now, this is literally a 4-year-old, 4 or 5 years old. She's got a nice Santa hat on, and she is holding an automatic weapon. Now, I know there's probably nothing illegal about this, or else it wouldn't be on here, and there would be some kind of charges involved, but there should be. This should not be okay. And what kind of, I can see the people in the picture, so I actually know I was going to ask what kind of people would bring their kids to something like this, but yeah, that guy in the background there with the mullet and the, looks like a nice little green sweatshirt that doesn't quite fit, and a nice little hat on. Yeah, he's looking real classy. Santa, by the way, fake beard. Not real. Does not look like a legit Santa. I don't know. Taking pictures with machine guns. 4 years old, I don't know. I could be wrong on this, but this is awful. It's an awful one. Maybe not even okay. Not even okay with toy gun. I just don't see the relevance. Americans, they do love their guns. Love to shoot people in the face. Next up, we have Darius Rucker's History in the Making. After that, we're going to do a little bit of Gary Allen. She's So California. This is the Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. That was George Strait's Troubadour. He was one of the true legends of country music. Even country music purists believe that George Strait's one of the best. Next up, I often do this. I give away worst mom awards. I've given away worst dad awards. I've even given away worst grandma awards. Today I got a new category. Worst boyfriend ever award. Guy's 23 years old. The girl's a little older. She's 30 years old. Obviously a little bit different in maturity here. And also in amount of heart. Because clearly this guy has no heart. They were in an argument. Fighting with each other over something. Does not say what they're fighting over. At which point, Carlos Rivera decided that he was going to take her 1-year-old daughter, takes this girl, and drops her off in the middle of the woods. Just leaves her there, just hanging out. Now, luckily, police were able to find the baby. They used bloodhounds, helicopters, able to find the baby. This guy needs to go away for life. I know he won't. You know, he's a young kid. He'll probably get a slap on the wrist. But, you know, they're charging him with kidnapping, with child endangerment. This guy clearly has no heart whatsoever. Who takes a baby and drops it off in the woods? This is stuff that perplexes me. This is stuff that I read and I just shake my head. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. I always love when I'm searching the internet and I find something that I can talk about coming from right here in Iowa. And this is a perfect example of something that is Iowa related, that's also funny. In my opinion, hilarious. Police in Cedar Falls say that a man broke into a local McDonald's, cooked some food, and then left. Didn't steal any money, didn't even try to steal any money, they said it looked like. Just broke the window of the thing, caused some damage there, went in there, cooked himself a couple of cheeseburgers, I assume some McNuggets. Maybe he had some fries. I don't know what he had. It doesn't say. It'd be so much better if it said. Why won't they release that information? We could catch him by that. Never know. It could be some notorious homeless guy who loves McChickens so much. That could be a huge tip. Somebody dropped the ball on this one. But I'm just saying, this guy, I feel for this guy. This guy was probably just hungry. You know, maybe he's homeless. It's cold in Waterloo. McDonald's makes billions of dollars every year. They can pay to fix that window. And I for one am happy this guy had some food, you know? Good for him. Though I'm not advocating breaking into McDonald's. Just saying, in this instance, everything else I've been talking about tonight, this seems acceptable for some reason. Good for you, sir. Sleep well. Next up, we have Josh Turner, Another Try. After that, we have Long Line of Losers by Montgomery Gentry. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. My name is Casey America, and this is the Edge 88.1. Now, there are many different traumatic events that can happen to a student when they're, in the early stages. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade. I can personally remember one incident where we were going on a field trip, and we weren't supposed to bring Pop on the field trip. Now, knowing my mom and knowing me, I love Pop. There's always Pop around. I'm going to bring the Pop on the field trip. So what we did was we devised a cunning plan. We're going to put Sprite into a water bottle, making it look like water, sticking it into my lunch pail, thus getting away with the crime of the century. Well, there was one problem. We failed to secure the lid of the bottle, and so the pop spilled all over my sandwich and all over everything, and so I had no food. So I had to bring this, to the teacher. And I was just so worried. I was like freaking out. I was like, I know she's going to know what we did. And she's going to yell at me and I'm going to get expelled. And I'm never going to college and my life is over. That's not what happened. She didn't even know. My mom brought me up a new lunch, which had a can of pop in it. I didn't even get in any trouble. So not as terrifying as what happened to this young man. This was a kindergartner in Florida school systems. The teacher decided that this kid was disruptive, and in order to show him teach them a lesson, she was going to have the students vote on the most disruptive kid in the class. And whoever they voted for had to leave and got kicked out of the class for the day. Well, needless to say, this kid won the vote. And the mother sued the school district for this happening, obviously, because this has got to be terrifying for this kid. I mean, he's obviously got some behavioral issues, whatever. Maybe he needs some medication, but he doesn't need to be publicly humiliated by, a teacher who can't handle herself. So, she got $350,000. And, some people say, oh, that's way too money, that's ridiculous, the kid's in kindergarten, he'll never remember it. But you know what? You do remember things from that age. Even if you don't consciously know you remember them, they can affect you. And the fact this teacher would decide that she was all-powerful because she's a teacher and she can humiliate a kid doesn't say here whether she got fired or anything like that, but I can only assume that $350,000 didn't do a whole lot to help her career. So, I mean, a lot of times, teachers are good, most of the time, 95% of them, but this is part of the 5% of them who are not so good. Next up, we have a little bit of Justin Moore, How I Got to Be This Way. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. Stay tuned. That was Another Try by Josh Turner. This is kind of an interesting story. It's an odd presentation here. This guy was arrested in Los Angeles for sending tarantulas through the mail. Now, apparently this is illegal. I did not know this. Apparently, since they are a protected species, you are not allowed to send them through the mail or sell them anyway, apparently. He is accused of sending more than 500 live tarantulas through the mail. The spiders included 22 Mexican red-kneed tarantulas, a protected species whose formal name is Brachypelma smithii, and I am 100% sure that I pronounced that incorrectly. These people were obviously, collectors or whatever. They liked tarantulas. I don't see the appeal. I'm not into it. I don't like to hold spiders, especially not tarantulas. I don't even really like to look at any kind of spider, so you would never catch me receiving or sending any kind of spiders through mail. But, to each their own, I guess. But now he might face up to 20 years in prison and pay a fine of $250,000. I can't imagine going to prison for 20 years for sending spiders through the mail. When I realize they're a protected species and this and that and blah, 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 whatever. But at the same time, there are people that do a lot worse stuff that get a lot less time than 20 years. Just my opinion. No, there are a lot of people out there that would disagree with me and they love spiders. They're saying spiders are defenseless. They cannot protect themselves. Well, that is not true. These are tarantulas. They can protect themselves. Very well. Very scary. Anyway, next up we have Rodney Atkins. It's America. And then after that, Long Line of Losers by Montgomery Gentry. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. This is Casey here on the Edge 88.1. That was Gary Allen, She's So California. I come across every once in a while a story that it's interesting to both sexes equal. Male and female are going to find this story interesting. The French have come up with an invention that I think could revolutionize lingerie. Now, some people know that it can be hard to remove a bra if you're inexperienced. If you've never done it, you don't know how it works, it could be harder for you. The French have come up with a magnetized bra so that all you have to do is just pull it apart. It's just a magnet. You've seen magnets before. You know what they do? They hold things together. Now leave it to the French to create an easy-to-remove magnetic bra and panties. I mean, it's just something that I think, it could make it easier for you ladies too. It's not just guys. I don't know. Just something to think about. They look normal, I guess. I don't know. If you want to get online and check it out, you may. It is PG-13, so anybody can check it out. Just go to AOL.com and type in magnetic bra and panties. And like I said, what I'm looking at right here is PG-13. And it says here they run about $100. The place that makes them is called Lingerie Dement, D-E-M-E-N-T. So, I mean, Christmas is coming up. Maybe think about it. So, stay tuned. This is Casey on the Edge, 88.1. This is Casey here on the Edge, 88.1. You know, I like to comb Facebook every once in a while and look at notes and, you know, older notes, blah, 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 maybe that I've written or that other people have written, you know, just to see how, you know, things change over the years, to see how maybe things are different, or in this case, I think, you know, maybe I got lucky and, you know, there was some wisdom there that for whatever reason that day I was spot on, and I'm going to go ahead and read this note. It's from October 6th, 2008 at 10:30 in the morning. Now, when I'm thinking back to that date, I don't know what I would have been doing. I don't even remember writing this note, but it's just funny how, you know, sometimes you're right, and sometimes a thought that you had is going to be, you know, is going to stand true for a long time. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. There are many things that we take for granted in life, things that every day are going on around us, and we don't give them a second thought because, quote, they will always be there. Most of these things we take for granted are filed under trivia and stuffed away to be thought of sparingly, if at all. It isn't until one of these things is challenged that we are challenged. Not until something that we have taken for granted is taken from us do we stop and think. How funny the things that we think about the least can cause the most grief. The things that we file under trivial, when removed, will often trivialize the rest of our lives. Take care of these things that matter, no matter how minute they might seem. Because when those things are gone, most things seem to matter less. Now, like I said, I don't remember writing that, per se. I don't even remember why I wrote it. But I was reading it, and I thought, why not? There's nothing else better to talk about than what I think. Now, just, that's me being, that's hubris. That's it. That is excessive pride. So, just, you know, take that with a grain of salt. My name is Casey Weaver. This is The Edge 88.1.